I took a big risk when I sold off my business towards the end of last year and bought this crash-damaged Aston Martin DB11 from a salvage auction without any real knowledge on how to fix it. There have been mistakes along the way and I've already learned so much. I've learned how to build up the suspension and even how to fit all new parts to the car. I've fitted new headlights, new sill, wing, and even fit the windscreen myself rather than outsourcing it. The car has since been in the body shop, but it was time to go and collect. And that brings us up to today, where we are off finally to get this car from the body shop. It's been in there nearly 3 weeks, and yeah, they even wanted it another day, but I said, look, MOT's tomorrow. I need it back today because we have some parts to fit, and quite a few. And before we go over the parts, obviously some of you might be thinking, well, why don't you just push back the MOT? And well, that's because we've got some pretty exciting news. Obviously, today is Thursday, MOT is tomorrow, Friday. On Monday, it's being serviced with Aston Martin. And then on Tuesday, we're taking the car abroad. We're taking it to France. My friend Ben and I, we're going to take you along as well. We're going to do a little wine tour in Bordeaux and then obviously stop off and then Champagne on the way back. So it's going to be great. Put on a couple thousand miles on the car probably, which granted will depreciate it a bit, but the joy for me of rebuilding these cars is actually being able to enjoy them for a bit. Sadly, I can't afford to keep them, so I do have to sell them, but for me, doing this road trip just means I can enjoy the car a little bit before I have to sadly part ways. So these are all new parts. This is almost like your lower sort of cross member or sort of crash bar, I think. Then we got this under tray, which well, we've actually still got the old one because I wanted the screws. And as you can see, that is broken off. And then we have the new radiator support because the old one was bent. So I have removed that temporarily. But obviously the radiator doesn't need fitting properly, so we got that. We have the under tray, which we already had. This is the original one. It's absolutely fine. So it just needs putting back on. We've got air ducts there as well. Got loads of screws inside that box as well, just keeping them all together. And then these have come off the old bonnet. And now weirdly, we have to do it in 2 ways, this collection. Well, in 2 stages, I should say. First up, we have to go and collect the car and then bring the car back. And then we have to go back again to collect the bonnet and the bumper. The bumper I can fit in the back of my car, that's fine. And I want the bumper off to get it on and off the trailer safely without, I don't know, curbing it or damaging it. In terms of the bonnet, they just don't have time to fit that today. They wanted to give it to me tomorrow. I said, look, it has to be today no matter what condition. I said, look, I'm happy to fit the bonnet if I have to, but yeah, it has to be today. So they're working, I think, behind the scenes incredibly hard to get it done now today, which is great. But yeah, we got to go get there, fit the bonnet, as well as these parts and the bumper, and get that alignment right. And then there is one final part, and that is this new track rod, which some of you did notice, fair enough to you. You also flagged it to me, so thank you. Was that the old track rod is bent around about here, and obviously for alignment reasons and things like that, I wanted to get it right, so I've paid a few £100. Was it 300 or 200 quid or something like that? I'll have a look at the cost. And by the way, I will be doing, once the car's through its MOT, a total cost of how much I paid for it, how much I spent getting it to where it is, and then hopefully what I'm going to sell it for as well. Granted, I'm going to be taking it abroad, so I will be sticking on a few miles, which will depreciate the cost naturally, but it'll still be interesting to see, and don't worry, that is all to come. But for now, let's go get the car. Well, it's back from the body shop. Well, most of it is. We don't have the bonnet or the bumper because I'm going for those later. They're literally going into the oven as we speak. But yeah, I've got stuff that I can still fit to the car, so I just said, look, I'll take the car now and then we'll sort out the rest later. But I'll show you what they've done so far. As you can see here, they've matched up the wing paint, which looks great. I've slightly messed that up though, which I'll get into in a second. But as you can see, the undersill was silver, it's now green as well. Looks tremendous. They've done a really good job on the color match in this car. Looks terrific. And then down here, remember there were marks up here. Just going to be careful not to touch it anymore actually. There was a dent there and then there was a chip off here. They've sorted all that out, so it looks terrific. And one thing I didn't actually address in the videos was we did have 2 dents on this. We did have a dent in the roof here and a dent in the roof there. There's a photo on the screen now, and you can kind of see in there the lighting's just slightly out. So So there were dents, and anyway, they fixed those for me, which is great. So the car near enough looks immaculate. But annoyingly, this is how fresh out the oven it is. My straps that I was using to obviously go around the tires and hold the car down have actually picked up a little bit of the paint just here. It's only about 2 inches worth, but yeah, God, that's so frustrating. Shows how this has literally just come straight out the oven. So I'm gonna have to get that touched up at some point, but we don't have time to do that now, unfortunately. But yeah, probably when I get back from the France trip, we'll see. Maybe just before, but for now anyway, it's not gonna dampen the spirits because we've got to put this car together and it's gonna start looking incredible. But first we've got to start with the bits you aren't really going to notice, which is the underside. Before we can get onto that, I first had to start by removing all the trim from the old bonnet. Thankfully, it was all intact, so I just had to remove it, ready to be put on the new bonnet when it comes back from the paint shop. With that job done, we can now turn our attention to fitting the new parts. I started by taking off the old radiator support, which had been bent in the crash. It no longer lined up properly with the auxiliary radiator support, so unfortunately it had to go. With that off, I can now fit a brand new one before also fitting the under trays that I removed earlier in the rebuild process. I am missing a couple of screws for both under trays. Now I have tried to source these, but I've been told by Aston Martin that they are on a back order, so I've put it together as much as I can for now. Here I'm just taking the screws off the broken air dam, as new parts never seem to come with the screws you need. My camera ran out of memory at this point, so I had to stop the time lapses and resort to updating you via my phone. Okay, so camera's run out of storage, which is typical, but yeah, basically got this under tray on and fitted the air dam, and then just got these 2 screws here and here, holding it on for now, but we can get it down now and we can start fitting the bumper, which conveniently we do have back now. Normally it's all stripped down, so I'm gonna have to put it all together again, and then we do have a bonnet here, but looks good from this side. And then you get to the other side, and well, it's all white. So whilst it's getting very stressful, basically the plan is we're going to put it all together now. We're going to take it off to the MOT with a half painted bonnet, and then once it comes back from the MOT, all being well, it should pass. Then we'll take it back to the body shop and then they'll paint it that afternoon. So a lot of stress, but I know what I've got to do, so let's crack on. Okay, well, a little update. Front end is on now, so I'm just getting the bonnet ready now. So I've just started putting on some of the trim here that you saw me take off earlier anyway, so I'm just doing the reverse process. They are a little bit awkward to get on because all the screw ends are obviously got paint on now. There's a cut, got paint on, and obviously that just makes it slightly thicker. So I'm trying to get these bolts back on. It's tighter than they were before, that's for sure. But it's getting there, so just getting this ready, and then we're gonna lift it on. Well, it's the first time actually I've seen the front end looking all green, and God, this is a beautiful car. Can't wait to get it done. It's gonna look a bit ridiculous with the bonnet in a second, which is now ready to go. As you can see, got all the trim fit now. But yeah, not for much longer. It's gonna look like a whole car again very, very soon. And she's on. And it's looking pretty good. Still got some bits to tidy up in terms of the panel gaps, obviously. Obviously I need to sort this end out completely. But obviously I just need to get it through the MOT for now. And I don't think they do panel gaps on MOTs. So yeah, getting there. So just got to put the wheels back on and sort out this trim now, and that should help this end as well. But yeah, pretty well there. It's 11 o'clock at night. But voila, she's done. Let's get her off the ramp, and then I am going home. And so all my hard work had come down to this. Rebuilding this car has been one huge lesson for me, and although it's not perfect, I can't help but feel a bit proud with what I've managed to do. This was all still so new to me, and I was just hoping I'd done enough to get this car through the MOT. One DB11, ready for an MOT in the morning. Knackered. And well, that brings us up to today, Judgment Day. It's MOT testing day. There's still a whole bunch of stuff to do to this car, to be honest. I had to throw it together very quickly last night, so there's some awful panel gaps that need addressing, even more so on the other side, but we're going to get it through the MOT, get it sprayed, and then early next week I'm going to have a look at sorting out all these panel gaps. So when I take this down to France, it's going to look presentable, but first things first, we've got to try and get it through this MOT. I didn't have time last night to fit the track rod. I mean, I was there until 11 o'clock as it was, and I didn't fancy staying until the early hours of the morning. So the mechanic has very kindly agreed to do that for me this morning. Then he is also going to bleed the brakes, because if you remember, I had to disconnect the brake line to get the ride height sensor bracket onto the car. And then he's also going to sort out the brake pad wear sensor wiring, which didn't actually work. I was hoping it might, but it didn't. So he's going to rewire that for me. And then he's going to MOT it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get it over the line. Well, anyway, that was Friday. It is now Monday today. And good news, it passed the MOT, no advisories, which I'm really happy about. And we've even got it painted now. So we have a totally green car. This feels incredible. I've been driving it over the weekend. It's super nice, super smooth. But let's have a look now. And doesn't it look so much better in green? But it's just been Aston Martin. It's just been run under the hot coals bit. And there are a few things that they picked up on, but on the whole, I was pretty happy with the report. I think they recommended, I think it was about £850 worth of repair, which we'll run over, but they obviously alluded to the fact I haven't done any of the panel gaps yet. I think the comment on this bumper here was, don't know if you can see this horrible gap here, was poor panel fitting. Which normally they wouldn't notice on a health check, but obviously it's miles out because I just haven't had a chance to do it. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. And some of the keen eyes will have noticed that I haven't got the wiring harness sensors fitted as well, because I don't have them. But I have ordered a few parts from Aston Martin when I was there today, including these harnesses. And interestingly, I noticed looking at some of the DB11s they had in the shop there's meant to be some brackets here to fit some more sensors. I do have the sensors, but I couldn't figure out where on earth they went. But anyway, now we know that they just connect to the brackets down here. So I've ordered those brackets as well. Here are the parts we've ordered. And if we just actually run through it a little bit. So these are what I mentioned, the grills, the brackets that fit in the grill for the sensors. Weirdly, just didn't come with a fuse box cover. So I've ordered one of those. I wanted a second set of keys for whoever I sell this to eventually. They'll want that, so I've ordered a second set of keys. Gas strut hood, weirdly, I don't know where this has happened, but a bit of the sort of hydraulic strut, there was a bit broken off that, so I just ordered a new one. Front bumper harness, that's what we've mentioned about the parking sensors, so I've ordered those. Air register, right hand outer. Well, that is just the nozzle here, which again, for some reason was missing. I'm guessing this would have just happened in the previous ownership and they've just not bothered to replace it. So anyway, I've ordered one of those. Now, all these parts here came to £928 plus VAT. Which really wasn't too bad. I was expecting it to be worse. And obviously with the health check, I was expecting them to suggest about thousands and thousands of pounds worth of suggested repairs, because I've never worked on a CAT test before. It's first time. I didn't have the front end to look at anything there, so trying to work out what I need to order, what goes where the screws are. There were quite a few things that they have picked up on, which is fair enough. All valid points as well, but it's the first one we've done, but now we know what we need to fix as well, so they'll all be fixed and resolved before I'd come around to selling it anyway. But we're against the clock for now, because tomorrow we're off to Bordeaux, my friend Ben and I, in the Aston. It's going to be a great little road trip, but I just want to do the panel gaps first, so I'm going to work on that now and get it ready to go, but you'll have to see that in the next episode. But for now, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Take care and peace.